How does the brain work? This is probably a question that most of you have thought about if you have ever lived on Earth. Today I will be talking about 3 key topics about the brain. First, how different parts of the brain differ in actions. Secondly, how the brain transmits info to the rest of the body to accomplish tasks. Third, how the brain activity can change one's behavior. First, the brain is a complex organ and is a key component to the way life works. There are 3 main parts of the brain: the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the brainstem. There are 4 parts of the cerebrum though: the frontal, the parietal, the temporal, and the occipital lobes. Each have a key component in the way of life. This is shown in the article How the Brain Works, when she says, the cerebrum controls reading, thinking, learning, speech, etc. The frontal lobe controls personality and reasoning. The temporal lobe controls memory, speech, and smell. The cerebellum controls balance, coordination, and fine motor skills. And the brainstem controls breathing, blood pressure, heartbeat, swallowing, etc. These all demonstrate of what we take for granted as a human race, and the fact that we don't accomplish the goals that we want to if we had to think about all of these ideals, and the fact that it would consume our daily activity, and the fact to just keep ourselves alive, and therefore we cannot live without a brain. Secondly, the brain transmits electrical signals to the rest of the body to accomplish tasks. This is shown in the article, How Does the Brain's Nervous System Work? And the fact when it says, your brain has 100 billion neurons in which it communicates with thousands of other neurons. This has more connections than the whole entirety of the world's telephone system, and is the biggest machine ever. This truly shows how powerful an object the size of 2 fists can be, and the fact that the humans have not even scraped the surface of a somewhat similar machine in complexity and size. Therefore, since we can do different activities without allowing us to think about keeping alive, this allows us to change society as a better for the whole. Thirdly, personality and behavior are 2 key components of the brain, and which allows us to make it different in each human being, and the fact that each human's brain can be different from one another. This is shown in us trying to correlate behavior and brain activity in the article when it says, How Does the Brain Work? By Sandra Blakesley, when she says, scientists are nevertheless making progress and map correlations between brain activity and behavior. New imaging technology allows us to see circuits and patterns within the brain. Unfortunately, this is not very beneficial, since some of behavior is conscious, but most is unconscious. This relates back to 1915, whenever Sigmund Freud said, unconscious mind is the primary source, just like being an iceberg. The key component is under the surface. This shows that we have barely skimmed the surface of knowledge and understanding of the brain. Consequently, the brain is such an intricate system, we truly haven't gone in depth in our knowledge. However, we have figured out the 3 key points in the fact of each part and how it works. Secondly, how our brain transmits to the rest of the body. Thirdly, how brain activity correlates with behavior, but we still have not completed that. Therefore, the brain is like the universe. It is so in depth that we don't know all about it. Thank you.
Good job.